G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of Chris Rankin's Music Crush. I'm going to do a thread response to Chris Propfe, great channel, Chris Propfe Musically Obsessed. And to make up for my tardiness, I've been planning to do this since I first saw it. Good idea. Well, it's a numbers thread, so he asked to show numbers to do with bands and song titles, albums. I thought I'd give you a decent amount. I'm going to go for more than a 5. So Chris, to make up for the tardiness, I'm going to give you an extravaganza. I'm going to be quick. I won't go into detail too much about the bands and the albums. I'll probably show them at other times later on when I'm doing a what's listing video or so forth, because I don't want this video to be too long. I'm going to show a few. I had literally hundreds, and I'll whittle it down to this list. And I've got a little bit of a mix of everything. So yeah, here we go. Please subscribe and check out Chris Propfe's Musically Obsessed channel. Great channel. I'll put the link to his channel below. And here we go. So he said to show numbers, album, song title. I was going to do Testament Demonic Refusal, because the song starts off with 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 6, 6, and then it starts off, but it's not in the actual title or anything, but I thought I'll just mention it. So that was an honourable mention, and there was hundreds of honourable mentions. Anyway, let me get going. So, first up, great thrash metal band from Brazil, very good friends of mine, Adriano and Fabio, top friends. Now this came out 2011, Machine Age, great Brazilian thrash, and on the back, Cold Third War. Their second album, Slave Nation, was mixed and mastered and everything by the famous Max Norman. So a fair bit of cred there. Great band. Check them out if you don't know them. Machine Age, Brazilian thrash. Next up, I think one of the greatest albums ever made. Absolute perfection in every way. Would be in my top 10 of all time for sure. The Great Sabotage from 1987. Their fourth album, 24 Hours Ago. Starts off amazing, just incredible chorus, catchy. If you don't know this album, I think you should go out and get it today. You don't even have to listen to it. It's that good. Take my word for it. Perfection. Should be as big as any of the big all-time great metal albums. For some reason, it just doesn't quite get the publicity that it should, but for me, I like it more than Master of Puppets and, you know, the big number of... I love Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, one of my favourite bands all the time, but Number of the Beast gets all of the cred, and I actually like that more than Number of the Beast. So there you go. Next up, Camel. You all know how much I love Camel. Anyone who knows me well knows how much I love prog rock. Camel, this is their debut with that wonderful artwork of the camel on the front, just simply self-titled. And track 3... the glare's going to be trouble here, so you might have to take my word for it sometimes. But 6, 8 is the track there. Absolutely fantastic prog rock. If you don't know Camel, every bit as good as all the big classics. I am planning, I keep saying this, but I am planning on doing a Camel discography. I'm only missing about 4, but I figure I've got the bulk of what they're known for, their 70s and early 80s, so we'll do it soon. Next up, the great Camel... we go from camels to cattles, so we've got Cattle Decapitation, one of the best death metal bands of all time. A band that is brutal and heavy, but some of the catchiest stuff you've ever heard. Travis Ryan, I believe, is probably the best death metal growler live that I've ever heard. He is magnificent the way he changes it up. This is their album 2006. I can only just read that, it's so small. 2006. This would be their fifth album. Karma Bloody Karma. You won't be able to read that. The font is ridiculous, but it's actually called 1000 Times Decapitation is the song there. 1000 Times Decapitation. Next up, the great Annihilator with that awesome cover art. It's hard to make it out on camera, but it is actually holographic when you change it in the light. This is their 2013 album. Or what would this be? 12th, 13th. I'm going to guess 14th. album. And on the back there you have One Falls, Two Rise. But also I noticed on the bonus disc, which is called Re-Kill, which is re-recorded stuff from a long time ago, you got 21. Annihilator, fantastic thrash. Absolutely love Annihilator, so good. On to some records. We got the Beta Band, and this actual whole album is called the 3 EPs. There we go, the 3 EPs. This came out for the first time on record last year, the first ever time it was issued. This is their 1998 album. Now, for those of you who know the movie High Fidelity, this gets a good mention in there. John Cusack's line is, "I will now sell 5 copies of the album, the 3 EPs by the Beta Band." And he puts on the song Dry the Rain, and everyone starts bopping their head in the record store, and then, yeah, that's where it starts. But that's where I first heard it, was in that movie, one of my favourite comedy of all time, one of my all-time favourite movies. And this is so good. You know, just good alternative rock pop, experimental, a little bit folky, not too much folky, but just so good. So the 3 EPs by the Beta Band from Scotland. Next up, I've got Can, the fabulous Can. Progressive rock, krautrock. I know krautrock's a bit of a silly name. Progressive rock, very experimental rock. If you don't know Can, you need to check them out today. This is their album Ige Bamyasi. I think that's how you pronounce it. But great. Now, there's no track listing on the back. I think it's on the inner sleeve here. Yeah, there we go there. I don't know if you can read that there in the glare. One More Night. This is their... This is their 1972. It's either 1971 or 1972. It doesn't say it on the back. 1971. I think it's 1972. Their 4th album. Great album. Love Can to bits. Probably my second favourite album. Future Days is my favourite album by them. That's a reissue, by the way. Next up, they just only reformed 2 days ago, the Mighty Mudvayne, extreme progressive metal. Well, this album is anyway. Don't worry about the stuff that came on later on that sounded very, just not great at all. And then, of course, they broke up and a couple of the members went on to form that abomination that is Hell Yeah. But they just announced a couple of days ago that Mudvayne are back. I saw them live. I've seen them live twice. They are absolutely magnificent. Known for their wild face paint, early on anyway, and this album is a masterpiece of extreme progressive metal. So the album title is called LD50. There's also a song on the back called -1 as well. So good. Absolutely amazing stuff. Amazing. They come from Peoria, Illinois. This is their debut album that came out in 2000. Also would be my top 10 favourite metal albums of all time. Just an absolute masterpiece. So good to have them back. So good to have them back. Next up, Mighty Death. I did a video on this. I received finally this copy on vinyl. I always had it since its release on CD, but it was a grail of mine on vinyl. And of course, one of the song titles is 1000 Eyes. The Mighty Death Symbolic. 6th album from 1995. Equal top 4 favourite metal band of all time. Next, band from Melbourne, Australia. They got pretty big actually for a while. Very typical of that sort of late 90s, early 2000s alternative rock, indie rock pop sound. Brilliant stuff. Post-grunge a little bit as well, I can guess you call them. They're called Motor Race. This is their debut album. I don't think it says it on there. Oh, there it is on the spine. 5-Star Laundry. Check them out if you don't know them. Great stuff. Absolutely fantastic stuff. I've seen them live, I reckon 4, 5, 6 times. Quite often when there was sort of small little music festivals that included a little bit of everything, you'd see them come over from Melbourne and join up. shown this album a lot. I know I have. One of my favourite extreme metal albums of all time. The wonderful Worms from Spain and their album Crixu. Now, you might not be able to see that because the font's a bit small. I'll read it first. The song title is called 57889330816.1. So there you go. I reckon that's the biggest number that anyone's maybe shown. Great. Just a frightening album of brutal technical death metal. Perfectly played. Just absolutely incredible songwriting. The Mighty Jazzard, with my signed copy sent to me by the boys and the band management. You know, all know how much I love this band, one of my favourite bands of all time. This is their EP that came out in 2019, and the title of the EP is called 5. This may have won my favourite album of 2019. I can't quite let an EP win over a full album just because it's not really comparing apples and oranges. But yeah, one of my all-time favourite bands. You all know that. I've shown just that a lot. The Mighty Dream Theater. I am going to do a discography of a video of theirs very shortly. I've got all of their stuff. So I actually only noticed this, and well, just remembered it now. I've always known it. But I was showing this because of this song, my favourite instrumental song of all time. It's called Overture 1928. Unreal. This is my favourite Dream Theater album. But I've also, I just remembered that the actual title is Metropolis Part 2. A classic, progressive metal, all-time classic. Concept album, start to finish, flawless in every way. I've never seen Dream Theater live, ever. I've missed them every time for some reason. But one of my bucket list concerts would be to see them live and then do this album in its entirety. That would be the best ever. Arion, of course, by the wonderful Arion Anthony Lucassen. And the title is 01011001. So this man from the Netherlands with his incredible project of power metal, symphonic metal, just over the top with all sorts of artists on every single album. So not only is the title that, but then you've also got the fifth, it's hard to show actually, the fifth Extinction. You've also got the sixth Extinction, and you've also got a part of that sixth Extinction suite, a title called 2085 as well. If you don't know, Arion, so good. I absolutely love. Probably like the Human Equation, maybe a little bit better than this, but this is still amazing. Just fully complex, cinematic, symphonic metal that's just mind-blowing. Shown this album before, from Ukraine, the band 1914, and their fantastic second album called The Blind Leading the Blind. This came out in 2018, was one of my favourite albums of 2018. Magnificent blackened death metal, just sinister stuff, with easily one of the best album covers of all time. Love them to bits. The great Jefferson Starship. I might even do a discography of theirs. I might even do the three-prong attack with the Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship, and then Starship. So this is their album Freedom at Point Zero, so you get the zero there, and of course the title track is also Freedom at Point Zero. Love this album. Maybe my favourite of the Jefferson Starship albums, I think. I mean, Jane, what a song, hey? What an absolute ripper of a song. That's 1979, by the way. Fifth album by them. Love them to bits. I'll take this. Oh no, I can leave it in the sleeve, it's not too bad. Alright, some jazz. So we've got Charles Mingus, my favourite jazz artist of all time. Absolutely love this with the Mingus Aham. 1959 album, and on the back, where is it there? Yeah, self-portrait in 3 colours. So 3. I'm still, one of my biggest grails of all time is Charles Mingus Blues and Roots. Probably my favourite jazz album of all time. But this is right up there. He's certainly my favourite jazz artist of all time. I love this, absolutely magnificent. 1959. I just want to get every single thing he's done. I've got about 5 or 6 or 7 of his, so yeah, I've got a long way to go, I know. Next up, Public Enemy, with their fantastic second album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. So Millions, fantastic 1988 album, second album, but also on the back here you have She Watched Channel 0, so 0. There's a lot of zeros. I was going to include Fear Factory Zero Signal as well, but I thought, wow, there's a lot of zeros, and I was already at an even number. I knocked it down. I had well over about 150, and I knocked it down to 25 to make it a nice even number. So Fear Factory Zero Signal, also an honourable mention. Also, my top 4 equal favourite bands of all time. Metal bands, that is. Next up, we've got Scorpions with that ridiculous Hypnosis cover. God, it's abhorrent, isn't it? But the number we're looking for, 20th Century Man. 20th Century Man. Of course, this is their 1980 album. What would this be? 6th album? 7th album. 7th album. Great album. So many great songs on here. Wow, what a ripper. Not my favourite, probably my 4th favourite. Yeah. Taken by Force, Blackout, and Love Drive are my top 3. This would probably be 4th, but still a great album. So there's another number. Now we're going from 20th Century Man to 21st Century Schizoid Man, from the fabulous debut album by King Crimson, The Court of the Crimson King. 21st Century Schizoid Man. I'll just quickly show, just in case. I'm pretty sure you all know that it does exist. This is on the fabulous gatefold. Everyone knows about what this album and band means to me. This is one of the very, very first contemporary adult music that I ever heard when I was an absolute toddler. And I kept hearing it, and it started to bury into my brain, and this is probably where it all started for me. So yeah, 21st Century Schizoid Man. Keep it moving along. Next up, also in my top 4 equal favourite metal bands of all time, Enslaved, with their album from 2015. And you've got 1,000 Years of Rain. Brilliant album, absolutely brilliant. Love everything about Enslaved. A perfect band, no dud. Nothing lower than about 8.5 out of 10 for me. So good. This would be their 13th album, I think. Yeah. 13th? Yeah, probably about that. Next up, Def Leppard, when they were still great. And I do like Hysteria, not so much these days. I probably don't need to listen to it anymore, but I will admit I loved Hysteria, and I played it a lot when it came out. But these days, this is the first one I heard. I heard On Through the Night after I heard this. This I heard not long after it came out. And these days, it's my favourite album overall. It stood the test of time the best by a mile, I think. And of course, on here, the number, we've got the great instrumental, Switch 625. Magnificent. You can hear a little bit of their old touring buddies' influence in this album, Iron Maiden, because of course, in the early days, Def Leppard toured around in a van with Iron Maiden when they were both very young, when Def Leppard was still new wave of British heavy metal. So yeah, Def Leppard, Switch 625. Next up, of course, very obvious one, Rush 2112 with drew a blank there, 1976. Their 4th album, 2112. Pretty obvious there, and of course the main song that takes up half the album almost, the concept piece, 2112. Band from Perth, no longer around, instrumental progressive metal band called Scizor G. Very hard to say. It's a term to do with astronomy. And their one and only debut album, came out in 1999 called Prominence. They didn't do anything else after this. They were around from 95 to 2005. Great instrumental progressive metal band. And the song on the back there, Flight 537. Brilliant stuff. And lastly, because of the title of the band, Seven Dust. I love Seven Dust. Seen them quite a few times, love them to bits. I love them because Lejeune has just got such an amazing voice, and it just sets them apart from everyone else. A very groove-laden band, a metal band that you can dance to, sing along to in your car, love. And this is their, I want to say, 2013 album, 9th album from memory, Blackout the Sun. The song on here called Decay is one of my favourite metal songs of all time. I love it. Love Seven Dust, so yeah, 7 for the Seven Dust. So there we go, Chris. That was my response to your thread by the numbers. Thank you all for watching. Sorry I took a little while, Chris, to put this video up, but I think I've said before on a few videos that my work is just absolutely ridiculously flat out, so it's just a matter of time of filming these things and watching all of your wonderful videos. So please check out Chris Propfe Musically Obsessed. I'll put a link in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you soon.